What if criminals could hack your pacemaker?
Hitting computer networks, banks, and even cars.
Well, now a warning that hackers could hit people's hearts.
About almost 500,000 people in the U.S. must update their pacemakers that are vulnerable to being hacked.
It's not an if, but rather a when.
This is a movie scene from a TV series called Homeland. In this scene, a criminal finds out that the vice president has a pacemaker implant in his chest.
Walden has a bad heart. So?
It is a small device that monitors heartbeat. If it senses that it's going dangerously low, it sends electrical pulses to stimulate the heart and help it beat normally, and ultimately saving a life.
His pacemaker can be wirelessly accessed with that number.
You're kidding me.
I'm not.
I won't do it.
Yes, you will.
The criminal convinces a congressman to retrieve the serial number, and then his hacker accomplice uses the serial to remotely access the pacemaker. Once the hacker gains connection, he instructs the device to deliver a lethal jolt of electricity. Then the target quickly collapses and dies.
You still don't get it, do you? I'm killing you.
After the release of this episode, fans of the show kept wondering if this stunt was doable, so physicians offered a straight-up answer saying that it is not possible in the real world. Little did they know, there was a peculiar smart man who is in fact able to make it happen. But who on earth is he, and how did he do it? Barnaby Michael Douglas Jack was born in New Zealand in November of 1977. He is a white hat hacker. Unlike black hats that gain access to systems for monetary or vindictive malicious intents, white hats specialize in finding vulnerabilities systems have and improve them. As mysterious as the hacking world is, the early life of Barnaby is as well. After all, he is a hacker and not a reality TV star. He understands the value of privacy. But anyway, Jack grew up to become an established hacker and a great security expert. But how good was he? He was described as, quote, "He was an absolute freaking rock star from Mars." Jack is well known in the security world. Everyone had a drink with him or have a story of a good time they spent together. He was again described by one of his peers as, quote, "He's just such a likable little imp." The year is 2010. SpaceX just launched its first commercial flight to low orbit, and the Burj Khalifa just opened its doors. Places: Las Vegas, Wednesday. Dressed in a suit and well-groomed, Barnaby walked into a conference room full of security experts, hackers, and government agencies operatives. Jack is about to give a presentation that will change hacking forever and ultimately the world. Few hours earlier, Jack with his friend Alex drove from the Bay Area to Vegas, a 9-hour trip in a beautiful Escalade, and in the back, there was something rather peculiar. Jack brought 2 large ATMs loaded with 6,000 notes of fake paper currency. Inside the conference, the 2 ATMs were placed high on the stage. In the preparation for this stunt, Jack believed in one thing: every system is flawed and can be tampered with, and just like an onion, he could peel the layers of security one by one to completely take control of the system targeted. But why ATMs in particular? First, they are full of cash. They can hold as much as $200,000. Second, some of them are isolated in a dark corner or in a gas station, giving the attackers some privacy to work with. And last, their security was really weak. Jack demonstrated two possible ways to attack the machine. The first was with physical access. While the cache was heavily protected in the vault, the motherboard was not. So using a widely available master key that can be bought basically anywhere, the attacker opens up the lid and gains access to the motherboard. Inside, he finds a USB slot that is used to update the system of the ATM by the companies. And using a USB flash drive, the attacker updates the system, but with a simple addition. His own malware is injected too, and within few seconds, the machine is completely infiltrated. The second way Jack demonstrated can be done remotely without touching the machine, and it takes advantage of a serious vulnerability in all ATMs. Remote management feature is enabled by default all the time, even if it's not used for monitoring purposes. But it has a critical requirement. The attacker needs to know its IP address or dial-up number. To get this critical information, another tactic is used. It's called war dialing. It's done by calling thousands of local numbers using automated software to identify ATMs, and from these ATMs, specially target the ones that send a special response. I am an ATM, and I have the remote management enabled. After getting a hit, another pre-built software by the attacker forcefully bypasses the login details and password. At this point, the machine is pretty much owned. Jack demonstrated both attacks on stage. Few seconds later, the buzzing of the machines could be heard. And the ATMs started spitting out all the money on stage. Hence the name that Jack chose for the attack, Jackpotting ATMs. This was not the first ATM hack in the world. The skimmers that steal your credit card details go far back to the 90s, and surely there was some ATM hacks around the globe that we don't know about, but this live demonstration was the first of its kind. Combined with the charming personality of Jack and his weight in the hacking world, and how he made it look so easy, the presentation had a ripple effect on the world. The banks and financial institutions started panicking and quickly updated their firewalls to avoid potential losses, but it was a little too late. Russia, Ukraine, Finland and China, and in many other countries, the hack started to become more popular and more sophisticated. People used the concept of Jack and literally made it better and customized to the machines they are dealing with. One of the most notable groups of black hats that used these methods was a group called Carbanak.
It could be the biggest bank heist in history. Cyber attackers getting their hands on about $1 billion from more than 100 banks in 25 countries, including here in the United States.
A leading internet security company has renewed its warning that cyber criminals are plundering nearly €1 billion from banks around the world.
The criminal cyber gang has stolen as much as $1 billion from over 100 financial institutions over the past 2 years.
Russian-based firm Kaspersky Labs says a gang called Carbanak, with members in Russia, Ukraine and China, has stolen money by using malware programs.
The Carbanak group were a little too sophisticated. This group thought that instead of hacking the system of an ATM and take the money prize, they would access the domain controller of the bank. And with that, they have control over everything: users' data, SWIFT transfers, and ultimately ATMs. They used money mules around the world. They would give them a location and a time, and when their accounts get inflated, the ATM starts spitting out money. They take it in a bag and wire it to the masterminds. They directly wired money they could to themselves and basically took advantage of all the power a domain controller gives you, getting away with a whopping $1 billion. And that's just what could be traced back to them. And to this day, the group, like many others, remain active and thriving. Jack's effect reached the fictional world as well, and his exploit was featured in a TV series called CSI, Cyber, on CBS, and the hacked bank in the episode was named after him as Barnaby Bank. Jack's crazy exploits are far from over. Back in 2011, he demonstrated live on stage again, using an antenna, how to obtain control of insulin pumps.
Bloomberg's John Ehrlichman caught up with a hacker turned computer security expert who says that insulin pumps are especially vulnerable and the results could be fatal.
I have a vulnerability which will let me acquire the serial number from any of these insulin pumps within a 100-meter range.
And that's this thing right here.
Yeah, so this is my software which exploits that vulnerability to actually return the IDs of any insulin pumps in that range. From 100 meters away, I can scan for any insulin pumps in the vicinity. It will return those insulin pump IDs, and then I can have them dispense their entire 300 units of insulin, which for a type 1 diabetic will easily prove fatal unless you seek immediate medical attention.
This was completely unheard of and made the companies promise that the vulnerability will be fixed in the upcoming release of the device. The FDA also commented and assured the public that the people using the medical devices are not in any direct danger and that there is no cause for alarm for the nearly 3 million Americans who have pacemakers. Quote, "The FDA is not aware of any patient injuries or death associated with these incidents, nor do we have any indication that any specific devices or systems in clinical use have been purposely targeted at this time," which does sound really odd, just because there was no recorded death of some psychopath using the results of this research to kill someone yet, it doesn't guarantee that it will not happen. It's becoming a trend at this point. Jack is a wizard at finding these backdoors to these medical devices that cost millions in their development. They are expected to be impenetrable, but he always claimed he could find a way, all in the aim of making them better and secure for the consumers, and literally protect our lives and our money as well, while causing the companies and banks a slight headache to keep upgrading their systems. His contribution is a large reason that Microsoft as a company has completely changed and takes security more seriously. He indirectly protected the safety of data of millions if not billions of users around the world. It's 2013, Jack has a conference in which he is expected to demonstrate how to access a heart implant, which is a different device than the pacemaker. Jack has developed a code to access it wirelessly, and just like the pacemaker, he could send a lethal jolt of electricity and assassinate the target remotely. Jack also claimed that he will present something that will make the ATM jackpot in look like an elementary level hack, but sadly, Jack could not make it there. July 25th, 2013. In a cozy apartment in San Francisco, a lady walks in, put her bag and keys down, gets inside, and in the bedroom, a man is on the bed. Bottles of beers and champagne and cigarettes are scattered all around the place. She calls him by name. Jack, Jack, no response. She gets closer and shakes him over and over. Still no response. At this point, the lady is panicking and attempting to understand how serious the situation is. She gets closer. Jack is not breathing at all.
Yet another of our boldest and brightest has been taken down again in mysterious circumstances. mysterious circumstances that seem to get more and more mysterious with each passing day.
Jack left the world at a very young age of 35. His girlfriend stated that he was sound and fine when they spoke on the phone that morning, and they even had dinner plans that he sadly couldn't fulfill. The unusual timing of his death sparked a wide conspiracy theory in the internet. People suspected that his findings might have motivated some medical company to order a hit, since they have so much money at stake after every one of his presentations, or some high-up government entity felt threatened by his research, since it was estimated that 70 to 80% of all pacemakers are implanted in patients 65 years of age or older, which is the perfect demographic that holds most of the political power and wealth. Probably they felt that they might become the first targets after these findings go public. This narrative was further pushed when ABC News consultant and former FBI agent was quoted to say, "This is an industry where a lot of money and danger is at stake." The work he was doing certainly put him at some risk. Fingers started pointing at the US government, big banks and medical companies, all without any evidence, just a variety of personal theories from internet users. And they certainly went out of control because there was no immediate report released about the cause of death. The wait for more information made some people become wilder and wilder with their plots, completely overlooking the fact that Jack is a white hat hacker. He must be in direct contact with the medical companies, so he doesn't put anyone's life in jeopardy. It is true that his presentation was pulled out the first time because some ATM companies have filed a lawsuit against him, but it was later done anyway, since the aim and the main goal of these conferences is protecting people to begin with, and it would be wild to assume that this is the reason for his demise. It is a wild claim with no logical evidence at all. Finally, 5 long months later, the examiner's reports brings to an end the wild and often conspiratorial speculations over the death of Jack. The toxicology report indicated there was heroin, cocaine, Benadryl and Xanax in Barnaby's system when he died. Jack died of an overdose. Was it accidental or did he surrender to depression? That we will never know. I know this report can't convince a conspiratorial mind, but what seals the deal for me about this conspiracy is that Jack's family, friends and loved ones, who actually know and love him and are aware of his history, are not supporting these claims in any shape or form. Jack left the world in a tragic life situation. Foul play is ruled out. Jack's body was finally returned to his home country for a decent burial, and his section in the conference was not replaced. Instead, it was dedicated to him, an hour of silence, to celebrate the life of an amazing hacker and a friend.
All right, guys, we're going to invite everybody to stay. We do have the room for the hour, so thank you very, very much to Black Hat. We really, really appreciate it. And we just want to mix and mingle and have everybody share some of the great stories and antics that were Barnaby Jack. So thanks for coming.
Jack lived a wild life, from a schoolboy dropout to one of the elites in his field, achieving worldwide success. Jack used his skills for good and made the world a better place. As he jokingly once said, "I couldn't really bring myself into a criminal life. Besides, my mom wouldn't like it if I was in jail." The hacking world owes him a lot. He was a true inspiration, and he will always be remembered. Back home, his friends gathered and shared a fog of cigarette smoke. On an old wooden bench seat outside Galbraith Ale House, Jack's usual spot, they shared stories of him, happy ones and funny ones. And in the memory of a man who loved having drinks, everyone had one, as they fondly thought of him. Thank you for watching.